Imagine if every time you looked in the mirror, the face staring back wasn't yours, but something else. The Conjuring Last Rites takes us to the darkest side of the Warren story with a huge twist. A cursed mirror that supposedly connects the entire Conjuring universe. But the real question is, how much of this actually happened? And how much is just Hollywood spice? Today, we're breaking down the ending of The Conjuring Last Rites. Yap, full spoilers ahead. We'll also dive into whether this story was really inspired by the Smurl Haunting case, or if it's just dramatized for the big screen. Buckle up, let's go.
8 people live in this house. 8 people have experienced this.
Is a demon. After all these years.
Against the devil.
Reminder, if you haven't seen the movie and don't want the ending spoiled, pause this video and watch it first. But if you're curious and want to know all the details, let's continue. At the climax we realize, this isn't just random hauntings. It's a malevolent entity, using an ancient mirror as a medium for possession. The mirror first appears as a mysterious artifact in the Smurl home. Then suddenly, becomes the main threat. Because the entity ties itself to your reflection. Ed tries everything. Moving it, burning it, praying over it. But nothing works. The mirror keeps pulling back, almost like it has a will of its own. Lorraine, with her psychic ability, begins to hear the history of the mirror. How it's bound to the Warren bloodline, especially Judy. This isn't just another ritual exorcism, like past Conjuring films. Alongside the mirror, the film introduces terrifying manifestations. There's the Axe Man, an axe-wielding ghost, inspired by past murders tied to the Smurl house. There's also an old woman, shadow figures, even a giant Annabelle hint, and other eerie forms. These are all tentacles of the mirror's demon, able to morph into anything to torment its victims. The most emotional moment comes when Ed, Lorraine, and Judy stand together facing the mirror. The film suggests the entity is strongest when they're afraid. But when they face it together, refusing to look away, a new strength rises. And finally, the mirror shatters, in a shocking visual, symbolizing the evil's release. After the mirror breaks, and the entity fades, there's a post-credit scene, archival-style footage showing the broken mirror stored as a dangerous artifact in the Warrens' museum. A final touch leaving fans asking, will this tie into the next film? The Smurl family, Jack, Janet, and their kids, lived in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. From 1973 through the mid-80s, they reported strange activity, foul odors, knocking on walls, even physical assaults from unseen forces. Ed and Lorraine Warren came in 1986, claiming to have evidence, mysterious knocks, extreme temperature drops, and a dark mass entity pressing on the family. But skeptics pointed out, there was no scientifically verifiable proof. The story was turned into a book, by Robert Curran, with the Smurls and Warrens, titled The Haunted, One Family's Nightmare, published in 1988. Then adapted into a 1991 TV movie, The Haunted. But, after the Smurls moved, in the late 80s, no further disturbances were reported at the house. Aside from the cursed mirror being the center of horror, The Conjuring Last Rites also throws in a parade of terrifying creatures that will definitely send chills down your spine. What makes it even more interesting is that each of these entities comes with its own meaning and possible backstory. First, the Axe Man, a ghostly figure carrying an axe. Many say he's inspired by old tales of a brutal murder in the Smurl house, where a previous owner was allegedly killed with an axe. Even if the history is debated, the film paints him as the most aggressive manifestation, always attacking and chasing the main characters. Basically, he's the symbol of the house's bloody past. Next, the old woman. Forget sweet grandma vibes, this one has a pale face, blank stare, and slow, unnerving movements. Fans believe she represents a tormented soul, or maybe just another mask the mirror uses to channel humanity's deepest fear, helplessness, and loss of control. Then, there's the young woman. Cold, sorrowful, like a victim from the past, who never found peace. Many interpret her as a spirit trapped inside the mirror, maybe a long-lost generation, caught in the curse. She doesn't always attack, but her hollow presence adds heavy dread. And it doesn't stop there. Shadow figures dart across the screen, a giant Annabelle-like form appears, and whispers echo without a face. Here it's clear, the mirror isn't just an object, it's like a portal that pulls horrors from trauma, memory, and legend. With these creatures, the movie doesn't just rely on cheap jump scares. It actually adds layers of horror. Each entity feels like it carries its own meaning within the Conjuring universe, making the scares richer and more symbolic. And, even though Valak isn't the main villain here, the film sprinkles in several Easter eggs and visual callbacks, like props that remind us of Annabelle, or symbols we've seen before in The Nun. These aren't solid proof that Valak is directly involved, but more like little bridges that connect the larger mythology together. Now, let's break down film versus real life. First up, the Smurl family and West Pittston, that's real. Historical archives and the book The Haunted confirm it. The hauntings, bad smells, knocks, even physical attacks, that's also reported. But, in the movie, all of this gets tied to one object. The cursed mirror. In reality, no mirror was ever mentioned in the case. That's a pure Hollywood addition. Same with Judy. In the film, she's the possession target, the emotional core. But historically, Judy was never part of the Smurl case. That's purely a narrative device. The Warrens. Yes, they were there, claiming evidence. But skeptics dismissed most of it as weak. Then, there's the whole Vatican angle. The movie makes it look big and official. In real life, there were claims of church involvement, but no clear Vatican documents. And the ending, the mirror locked in the museum. The Warrens' museum is real, with hundreds of cursed items. And here's the twist, a haunted mirror actually exists in their collection. Known as the Conjuring Mirror. It's said to cause visions, nightmares, even mental breakdowns, if stared at too long. It's kept sealed away, rarely shown to the public. According to the real Warrens Occult Museum, in Monroe, Connecticut, there actually is a mirror, with a creepy reputation. It's often called the Conjuring Mirror. A ritual object that's said to cause terrifying visions, nightmares, or even psychological disturbances if someone stares into it for too long. That's why it's kept covered and rarely shown to the public. So, what's the takeaway? The Conjuring Last Rites is built on a foundation of real events. The location, the Smurl family's name, and reports of strange disturbances are all true. But, most of the big elements, like the cursed mirror being the main source of evil, or Judy becoming the central victim, are creative inventions made for the movie. In other words, half fact, half fiction, blended together, to make the horror story hit harder, as part of the Conjuring universe. After The Conjuring Last Rites came out, fans went wild with theories. Let's break down some of the most interesting ones. Some fans believe this mirror isn't just another cursed object. It's the master artifact that ties the entire Conjuring universe together. Some even claim it's the reason the franchise is called The Conjuring. Because through this mirror, all evil forces can be summoned. The post-credit scene, showing Ed Warren's archive with the mirror, only fueled this theory. If that's true, then Annabelle, the nun, and other museum artifacts could all trace back to this one source. On a deeper level, some viewers think the mirror isn't only about supernatural possession, but also a metaphor for trauma. To defeat fear, you have to look in the mirror and face yourself. In the film, Lorraine even tells Judy not to run from her own reflection. That makes the ending not just about exorcism, but also about a personal message: face your inner demons. Why was Judy the one possessed, when in the real Smurl case, she had nothing to do with it? The film uses this, for dramatic effect, by putting Ed and Lorraine's daughter in danger. The stakes are way higher. It pulls the audience in emotionally, and makes the story feel much more intense. Another big fan theory is that Valak never really left. With all the Easter eggs that connect back to the nun, people think Valak is still the puppet master in the background. The cursed mirror might just be another tool for Valak to make a comeback. Here's the more conspiratorial take. Some fans think the Vatican actually knew about the Smurl case, and objects like the mirror, but chose to cover it up. The movie hints at church involvement, but never gives clear answers. The mystery makes fans believe this could be intentional, left vague to spark even more speculation. And finally, a lot of people see Last Rites not just as the Warrens' final, but as the opening to a new era. Judy could take over as the next generation. The museum still hides plenty of secrets, and the mirror might become the centerpiece for future spin-offs. Basically, the ending isn't just a closure, it's a setup for what's coming next. Personally, I think The Mirror, as a trauma symbol theory, feels the strongest. Because the movie itself drops so many hints. But the master artifact theory, that one's insanely fun too. What about you guys? Drop your own theory in the comments. Maybe you've got an even crazier one. So, The Conjuring Last Rites closes the saga with a bang. A cursed mirror is the ultimate threat. Historically, the Smurl Haunting gives the foundation, but the movie layers fact with fiction for maximum drama. When you watched it, did you feel the ending was more of an emotional climax, or were you more intrigued by the real history? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the bell so you never miss more horror deep dives. See you in the next one.